Thoughts, a show about ZK products, where we break them down with rich flavors and sweet insights. I'm Queenie. I'll be hosting today's episode with Omer, co-founder at Ingoyama. And today we're thrilled to be joined by RJ and Fran. They're building Alliant, the verification layer for ZK. RJ and Fran, it's great to have you on the show. So first of all, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what led you to found Alliant?
Yes, I'm RJ. I'm one of the co-founders of Aligned, and on a daily basis, I have to do whatever we need to do to get to the finish line. And yeah, we founded Aligned with the purpose of building what we believe is going to be what is one of the missing pieces in the CK infrastructure to allow people to use CK on Ethereum without having to spend millions of dollars per year. So our goal is helping people to build on CK, especially on Ethereum for now, using proof of aggregation with the purpose of allowing anyone to build whatever they want using zero-knowledge proofs.
Hey, Queenie, just to do a correction, I'm not the co-founder of Align. I am part of the leadership of Lambda, and I'm helping Align and other projects to go to market. So I am more here as a representation of Lambda in this process than from Align. But I am following the process of Align every day and every week.
What's actually the connection between Aligned and Lambda? That's while we are at the topic.
Lambda Class is a company that has 10 years of experience in niche engineering, particularly in distributed system and in the last few years cryptography. And we have an idea of growing in a horizontal way. We don't like the idea of becoming a really big company of hundreds or thousands of employees. We like more the idea of making our partners or our employers founders. And Align is the first spin-off of that process. And Roberto was working in Lambda for 1 year or more, I think. And he got an idea. The idea had connections of many projects that Lambda has, or many problems that Lambda was seeing related to some project that Lambda was working. The first idea connected to Align was a bridge between L2s, CK intent bridge, and that then became Align. Basically, Lambda helps Align to in the technical process and in BD and everything that Align needs.
I really like this question because usually people don't. First, because I can shield Lambda, and the second one is because I think this. Well, Omer, you know very well Lambda class, but if you understand the culture, it's easy to understand the way we build and the pace that we build and the way we think about the whole product that we're building. So I think Fran already mentioned this before, but for those who don't know, Lambda is an engineering company in software, has a lot of experience in cryptography, but culturally is very unique in the terms that it's a place of very hardcore engineers. We work mostly from one office, everyone very close to each other, with people that are actually always asking questions and trying to improve stuff, and in a very fast-paced environment. And this allowed us, right, to be very flexible and go into different places and learn very quickly. So what we are taking is, because most of the core team of Align actually comes from Lambda Class, we already have that culture. Where we are a little crazy, that's why we were able to deliver this year the infrastructure we need, but also why we value certain stuff like open source, trying to educate other people with bootcamps, or what we're trying to make sure is whatever we build should be should be easy to understand by anyone, because we want this to kind of outlive us, right? There should be someone else in the future that can make sure this technology keeps working without us, because that's the way we like building stuff, and we do it with urgency, right? We want to do it today, not tomorrow, because that's the way we are built. And Mauro, Diego, of course, Fede, Fran, everyone comes from that culture as well, and we're taking the same approach with Aligned.
So where are we right now, like in terms of progress to make ZK 10x cheaper in verification?
Yes. So right now, in Align, we're running a testnet where we allowed people to verify, depending on the proof system, because this changes. If you're using growth 16, is completely different if you're using stars. So the most expensive type of proofs that we have today on Ethereum are stars. We already got a 90% cheaper solution by using Aligned. This is already live in testnet and really soon on mainnet. So we achieved that goal for many type of proofs. And that being said, the way this works is by amortizing the cost of each verification of proof by the size of the batch. So we should be able to get cheaper with more proofs that we receive in the future. But right now, each batch costs around 450k gas. So depending on how many proof we get, we can get even cheaper. And this is done because we are using Eigenlayer that allows us to use economic security in order to verify all of this.
Taking like one step back, maybe you can share a bit more about the design, unique features of the network, right? Looks like you're already in a very advanced stage. Would be interested to kind of like learn more about, from technical standpoint on how the network is going to operate and is.
Yes. So our goal with Align is to offer an infrastructure that can help any type of developer that wants to use CK in order to get cheaper access to verification of proofs, right? So we have two ways to actually solve this problem. One of them is using proof of aggregation, meaning proving that we actually verify certain proofs recursively off-chain and just generate one proof and post it on Ethereum. And the other avenue that we have today, thanks to Eigenlayer, is using a decentralized network of verifiers, thanks to restaking economic security, and verifying those proofs outside and just reaching consensus on the verification of these proofs and posting the results on Ethereum. So the first approach is the one that a lot of teams are working on and we are working on as well. But the second approach using the economic security is the one that we already have live today in testnet and we're going to have in mainnet today. And the architecture is a decentralized network of nodes or operators that re-execute the verification of proofs and post the results on Ethereum. Meaning, you want to verify a proof, you send it to a network, we receive that proof, each operator or node run the verification for that proof, they sign, and if we have more than 2/3 of the network agreeing that something actually happened, that the verification was correct, we submit the batch of all of those proofs to Ethereum. And this allows us to amortize the cost and have an actually very high throughput and lower cost, because the only thing we're doing is verifying proofs in a network that the sole purpose it has is receiving proofs, verifying them, and batching them to Ethereum.
I'm curious actually which approach that we can have a cheaper cost.
Yes, right now the approach that can actually get us cheaper cost is the economic security one, because we actually are able to have a huge load of proof that we can batch on all of them because of the throughput. And that being said, in the future this can change because CK is advancing a lot, and actually doing proof of aggregation might get even cheaper. But just if we think about it, verification should always be cheaper actually than proving. So what we call the fast mode, that is the one that is using economic security using Eigenlayer, should be cheaper or faster also in the long term. But it will depend a lot on what the developer wants to do. Because if you want to use proof of aggregation, you actually get the full economic security of Ethereum. While if you use the eigenlayer one, what you get is a subset of the economic security of Ethereum. So it's just giving options to developers depending on what they want. What we call the fast mode, it will always be fast. In the future, both of them might be cheaper. The thing that changes is the time preference and the economic security preference of the user.
I see. Just curious, is it possible to have the hybrid mode to combine two approaches?
Yes, actually, this is something that we have been thinking since the day we start, that maybe in many different type of applications, what you want is to offer both. So you get a very fast verification first, and then you can wait with some latency for a more hard finality using the proof of aggregation. For example, if you are a CK rollup and you build on top of a line, what you could offer is, okay, we will verify each proof directly on a line using the fast mode, but we will wait for allowing people to withdraw money using the proof of aggregation. But the soft finality you get by verifying proof in the fast mode can be very or are especially useful for projects that want to use interoperability. So for example, a bridge might want to ask directly the rollup for the verification of the fast mode. So they can say, okay, the state is correct, I can actually send money to a user and I will be able to withdraw my money, or the user will be able to withdraw their money by waiting for the hard finality on the proof of aggregation mode. But the idea is to give more options. From a product perspective, a line will be very flexible and it will be up to each developer how they want to use it. Because we don't want to tie people into using one infrastructure in a certain way. The goal is to offer flexibility so anyone can start building whatever they want.
That's great. So, RJ, I'm curious, do you have any secret sauce or unique technology that makes your proof aggregation cheaper than others? Or is it more a game of economies of scale?
Yes, it is an economies of scale game for sure. That's why we believe our approach of offering what we believe is the fast mode as the first product is actually the best way to start building this ecosystem. Because what you want is to get, what matters is the flow of proofs. If you get actually most of the proof, you're going to be the one who is able to offer the best prices. And in the future, if this means that you can also offer interoperability, the more proof you receive, the more applications you have, you get cheaper, and the more applications you can connect between that ecosystem. So it is an economies of scale game, if and only if you can only participate if you have the technology that allows you to get cheaper with the amount of proofs. Because there are other solutions that they want to get there, but actually what they have built so far do not allow them to, for example, get any type of proof. One of the things that is interesting about Align is we can receive any type of proof, because the only thing we have today in the fast mode is software that verifies proofs, calling directly the cryptographic libraries of each proving system. So there are certain type of proofs today that many of the other solutions could not support, and we are going to be able to support in the future. For example, Venus, they have very big proofs. It's not production ready yet, but once it's ready, Align will be probably the first place that can offer verification for them, because we can handle any type of proof, and we don't need to worry about wrapping these proofs in other types in order to make them compatible between each other. And for our proof of aggregation mode, we have a similar approach where now the technology is getting way better, so we can actually achieve this strategy, that we are going to build the aggregation mode by actually proving Rust, meaning what we will do is having the verifiers in Rust of each proof, and we will prove that we actually verify them. So this way we can start actually verifying any type of proof as well in the proof of aggregation mode. So you can play the economies of scale game, but the best way to play it is if you can accept any type of proof and you actually care about building something that is easy to use and is not opinionated on the way people can build on top of you. That's why Align is designed this way.
So I want to double click on your last answer. two things that I'm curious about. One, so there is some kind of a trade-off here, basically in the complexity. Like, right? I mean, developers would get like an easier to use system, but I mean, you guys or whoever is kind of like supporting the network would have to work harder because you need to add support for any kind of like new prover. I guess, I mean, that's like how I see it. Maybe quote me if I'm wrong. Another thing I wanted to ask is, so let's take this like whatever new, because you know software, algorithms, hardware, everything is moving in the space. So let's say now I'm Benius and I want to get support. Maybe not. Maybe today it's easier, but let's say in the future I fully deployed mainnet. Now I'm a new proving system. I want to be supported on a line. What steps should I take? Like, have you thought about that already?
So to see if I understand correctly your question, what you're asking is what will be the process in order to say, okay, we're going to accept this type of proof in the future. Let's say Align becomes one
Yeah.
the go-to solution for verifying proofs. We have a new one. Okay. Yes, so far we don't have a formal kind of governance process where people can submit or we can vote or we can decide what's the right approach. From a philosophical point of view, we do like more the approach of Bitcoin or Ethereum in order to how to handle a decentralized network or a project. Right now, the criteria we're using is the following. The first one, if the tech is mature enough. The second one, if there's enough people that can actually want to use it. And the third one is because we're a startup, we're taking risks. Do we think this technology will get bigger in the future? That's why we're taking an approach of actually supporting any type of CKVM that is available in the market that can prove Rust, because we believe that's the future. And with Venus, for example, if at some point is production ready and we have a way to easily integrate it, and we will support it because we believe it's one of the most promising technologies in the space. But it's a question, it's going to be a very important question in the future once we want to decentralize more this technology. How are we going to, what's the approach we should take in order to integrate new verifiers? Because one of the advantages we have today is that we don't need to have the formal governance process that things like Ethereum have with precompiles. So right now, we're a startup. We will support as many as we can and as fast as we can. But in the future, we will need a very technical community that can help us.
Okay, cool. Ajay, like you just mentioned that you support all the ZK VMs in the space. So I'm curious actually, is the ZK VMs they choose like verification service providers like you guys, or actually they're just gonna send the transactions to everyone?
Yes, I mean, we're still, I think the market is still trying to understand how things will play out in general with the, the supply chain of proofs or whatever name we want to put it. In the end, it will depend a lot on how developers actually start building all of these technologies. So, from a perspective of CKVM, most likely the thing they want is people to use them and code in their software, right? So the more services they integrate, the easier it is for a developer to say, okay, I can use this technology because I will be able to be supported in a lot of places. So what we're seeing is some CKVMs are not only supporting Ethereum, but they're supporting Solana in the future, and probably in the future many other chains as well. So
I
what we have
see.
been working on is trying to, from our side, also help developers decide which is the best way to support or start using the CKVMs. So what we built is a thing called CK-Rust. There is a wrapper around all of these CKVMs. The idea is that you shouldn't decide which CKVM you want to use. You just need to code in Rust, and then you select which prover you want to use. So we abstract the user and the developer from the CKVM in itself. The idea is you just need to know how to code in Rust. Then you have just as an option in the CLI or in the configuration file of your project which prover you want to use. Because one of the problems they have today is, okay, we don't know which CKVM is the best one for me today, But maybe in the one I choose today changes in the future because maybe Risk Zero gets better, or Succinct SP1 gets better, or I don't know, Lita from Valida comes into the market and is way better than the other options. So we need tooling that can allow developers to easily navigate that world, where you don't know which technology is going to be the winner, but you want to start building things today, and we will be able to support that on Aligned because you will just code in Rust and send the verification, the proof for verification right away for us. So we're focusing a lot on building that tool.
That's a very interesting approach. So you're actually taking a step up in the whole ZK value chain. Since Alliance actually operates in the downstream, right? Like verifying the transactions from the upstream. So you are like taking a step up. So actually, have you observed any signs of mobility or consolidation within this ZK value chain?
Yes, but it's still very early. I think everyone is still moving and trying to figure out what's the best way to offer this technology. One of the things that we know for sure from our side is people want to use Ethereum. People want to build on Ethereum. So the way we think about it is, okay, we need to build the infrastructure that can allow people to use more Ethereum in order to build these systems, because this is something we talk a lot about with Fran. From our point of view, Ethereum is kind of like New York. People want to build financial services or want to interact in finance in New York. People want to do the same on Ethereum, maybe in the future with Bitcoin as well. But it's not the same to build on Ethereum than to build on a brand new old one. So what we know is the proofs or the value or what you do with the proofs should reflect something on Ethereum, because that's part of that's the last piece of the supply chain where people actually want to interact for sure. So what we're doing is building each block that we need in order to facilitate and offer the best experience for that. I think what we have seen is Ethereum for sure is going to be the settlement layer for all of this. We'll see if Celestia can create their own ecosystem for something similar or not. And I think the thing we will see in the next few months is more for in Goriyama kind of a case, the hardware acceleration or making things faster for people to actually use these systems is going to get more mature. People are going to start interacting or deciding which one they want to use today. And for verification, it will be the same, because the network effect of using Ethereum and using just one infrastructure for everything, I think is going to play out in the next couple of months. Everything else, I think it will be a commodity.
Interesting.
CKVMs, all of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, guys, thanks for sharing your journey with us. So, I believe nowadays, yeah. So I believe now both Lambda Class and Aligned are shining names in our industry already. So, could you share some of the upcoming milestones for both Lambda Class and Aligned, and what excites you the most about the future?
Yeah, maybe I can start with Align, and Frank can add on many of the things that Lambda is doing, and can probably change as well in the next couple of weeks. If you want to actually get the real-time updates, you should put the notifications on FedEx Twitter, and you will see in real time how things move. So for Align, we're already live in testnet, and we have been live for 3 months, I believe. Maybe now it's a little more, but we're going to be live in mainnet by the end of October or early November. We already have done audits, so that was part of the things that we were missing in the last couple of weeks. And the roadmap is focusing on launching this and actually showing people this technology is useful. So one of the things we added recently to our roadmap is we're hosting a hackathon. It may sound not that important, but for us it's going to be a very important milestone, because our idea is to show that any type of developer can build a CK application and we can help them put it in production. What we're trying to do is create small games or small applications using CK and CK VMs, and helping them to actually put them live on Ethereum using Align. This is important for us because we will get feedback, and also because we will show that CK is already at the point where people who were never part of the CK ecosystem and only maybe know how to code in Rust can actually deliver an application. So this is something that we are focusing on the next couple of weeks while we deliver mainnet, because we want to experiment more and we want to show that we are 100% sure this tech is ready. What we want to show is, hey, here it is. Look, someone in a couple of weeks was able to build a Tetris-like game, and we were able to put it on Ethereum. It shouldn't be something too complex, but what we want to show is the end-to-end works, and actually what we have been saying for the last couple of months is right. Things are moving fast. People are able to build this and interact with this technology without a lot of work. And the other thing is we are working very closely with Mina. One of the first things that we'll have live on top of Aligned is the Mina bridge, meaning verifying the state of the consensus and state of Mina on Ethereum using Aligned. That's going to be one of the first use cases we have. But we want to explore many things using the hackathon.
That's gonna be on the fast mode.
Yes, exactly.
Congrats. We can assure that Aligned will be the fastest player.
Yes.
Will be the cool.
The
Congrats.
fastest and the cheapest for now. But one of the things we noticed in the last couple of months is maybe it's not only about offering the fastest and the cheapest option, it's building everything around it to make it usable. Because so far CK has been really hard to use, and we want to add the third property. We're fast, we're cheap, but we're usable or easy to use as well. Without the last one, I think we will not be fulfilling our goal.
Cool. Fran, would you like to add anything from Lambda Class side?
Yes, as I said, our execution client is a really important process for us that will have probably a side project from there. And the second thing that I think is really important for us is more like a process that we are seeing than a concrete thing. It has concrete thing related, but the general process we are seeing is more big players entering in the crypto ecosystem from Web2 and trying to integrate big population or big communities into crypto, and we started working in that direction. So what I think is all the knowledge that Lambda has about how to onboard million of users is probably going to be useful in that process. Like in the last year, a lot of people were saying that every year there is a new infra project and we don't have users. I think that's because we need more infra to onboard millions of users. Like the technology is not yet there, or might be more close to that. And I think that that's the most important thing for us. I think that we are seeing the possibility of us being a big player in the onboarding more Web2 users to crypto with our technology and our capabilities. And in that process, we see alliances or partnerships like the one I think we have with Ingoyama, really important long term.
Fran, this is major news. Like, should we expect some announcements like coming soon from Lambda
I
about
don't
like
know.
onboarding Web2?
I
Millions
can't
of users.
I can't say, but I think that I see, maybe I am wrong, that crypto is more like in the process of the 2000s in Web2, in the internet. Like we are going from a more naive approach to the technology to a more key technology to the world, as it was the internet when big with corporations like Facebook or like like the Web 2 era. I think that we are entering that dynamic in crypto. So that's, I think, the most appealing thing for us.
Aligned announced like really a lot, like partnership announcements in the ecosystem. Is there anything you want to you can comment about that, RJ? I mean, how do you plan to work with all of these partners? Like, is there any kind of like game plan here that is, you know, beyond just the marketing and you know spreading the word of Aligned?
Yes. Many of these partners, well, it depends what type of partnerships, right? Because we have many type of partners from different categories or in different part of the building blocks of CK. So in many cases, it's working together to integrate the different blocks. For example, with you working more on the helping on the proving and on the verification, trying to try in all the technology and exploring different ways of how to improve this experience. But from the point of view of applications that will live on Aligned, part of the strategy right now is, for us, it's very important to go live to mainnet, because what we have noticed is many of these teams are building today in CK, but they are having problems going into actually delivering into the market because their costs are really high. So if we go to a market, we go live, we show the technology is robust, and that we improve our SDK or APIs in order to interact with what we have built, these partners that we have are going to be able to go into a market with us quicker. So the goal is, mainnet is really important, so we can actually show to the market and to our partners, hey, we're ready, 100% ready to support you. And these are the numbers that we currently have going on mainnet. Because many of the people that we have been in the CK ecosystem are a little afraid of taking the first step, because things move so fast that they don't know exactly what's the right way to do. And also they're figuring out what they're trying to build as well. Many of them are shifting and trying to understand how their product will look like in the future. So for the applications, the strategy is, once we're live in the mainnet, supporting them 100%, and being able to receive with the hackathon all the feedback. So when we interact with them, we already have a better product or more robust product to not lose time with them. Because what we have been saying to them is, hey, we'll move fast, we'll be able to support you by the end of the year. And now that we can actually show that, things are going to be easier to start coordinating on the efforts of them using us on mainnet. And that's for applications. But for any type of projects that is more on the CK where we can do integrations, my approach is using things like the hackathon to try to explore what is the best way to integrate things. Because what we're lacking, in my opinion, in CK is more experimentation with end user or developers. We're experimenting a lot internally, but we're lacking this kind of explorational phase.
There's one question we want to ask everyone, every guest on the show. Can you name another project that you're bullish about?
I will not name in Goriyama because we're already here. So for
Yeah.
the for playing the game, something that I'm really interested in is, I don't know if you have studied this. There's a company called Opacity. They're doing CKTLS. We have been talking with them for a long time. They actually were one of the first people who approached us because they needed something like Aligned to go into market quicker and lower the cost. And I think it's one of the first, I really like the team and the idea, and also if they are actually able to build what they're saying, I think it's going to allow us to build new type of applications that were not possible before. So this will allow interoperability between Web 2 and Web 3 in a way that was not possible. And I think it will allow people to create new type of markets. That especially what I'm really interested in. So it's a technology that will allow people to build more or consumer focused applications using this technology. That's one of the projects I really like.
So you like ZKTLS, this direction in general?
Yeah, I think trying to solve that problem is going to be very useful for developers.
What are the interesting use cases utilizing zk-TLS?
Yeah. One of them that they already have live, I believe, is let's say you want to build one of the problems we have in crypto is, let's say you want to build a new network or a new market where you want to compete, for example, with Uber, right? You want the users to own that network. And we can have a conversation if that makes sense, if that's possible, but one of the things we're lacking is the tooling to make, or the growth tooling to make that possible. Meaning when many of these applications launch in Web2, they have referral systems, they vampire attack each other. And one of the things you can do is, for example, you want to compete with Uber. You say, okay, if you're a user, that is, you're already a driver in Uber or in Lyft or whatever you're using, you can actually prove the rating and that you have an account in those systems. And you can incentivize the users who are already live in different applications to start using the new network. So it's allowing the startups to have growth tooling that we didn't have access before. And I think it's not only for those things, but it's for making, I think crypto is especially useful for creating markets. And if you can access data and you have actual integrity on whatever happened in another server that is not connected to crypto, I think it's going to be very interesting. Like maybe you can create a market where you can sell Twitter accounts because you can actually prove that you are the owner of a certain account directly on a smart contract. And I think those are the interesting things. You are able to connect things that were not possible before.
Right. So maybe we shall try to get opacity on the show.
I think he will be a great guest. He's obsessed with the problem, so that's a good thing for a founder.
Great. I guess that's all for today. Thanks RJ and Fran for joining us, and Omer for co-hosting. We can't wait to see the magic of the verification layer go live and the exciting real-world use cases that Lambda Class will bring to the space. Thanks for listening. See you next time.